Welcome to episode 5 of Send Us Flowers. I'm your host, Liz. Other people sometimes like to call me Busy. And I am joined here today with someone I can actually give flowers to in person.
Yes.
Because it was also her birthday.
Yes.
So we'd like to say happy birthday.
Thank you.
The Cannabis Cutie is here.
Hello,
Tammy's
hello.
here.
Yes, Tammy, aka the Cannabis Cutie here.
I'm so excited.
Me too. We've met in person briefly, like at the events and
Yeah,
stuff, but
yeah.
I've never actually got to like sit and spend time and chat with you. So this is so exciting today. Excuse me.
No, this is going to be fantastic. We've got tons of stuff to smoke on.
Yes.
We're going to introduce Tammy, talk a little bit about who she is, what she's up to, and then we're going to explore what we both brought in our bags. Our bags are apparently very loud, looking
Yes.
at the display.
Yes.
And then we're going to get really into talking about what it's like to be a cannabis influencer and a lot of the challenges that we're seeing these days, and especially with censorship and just the new realm of media and what you can do as solutions. Like, what are the solutions here? And some things, like, we're still in such a learning process of what's happening, how to maneuver it. But, you know, I think we're pretty experienced in the way that we might have some insight to share.
Correct.
So thanks for joining. We're going to jump right in. Tammy, tell us about yourself. How did you start the Cannabis Cutie?
Oh man, how did I start the Cannabis Cutie? So it was right after grad school. So I graduated in 2018 from the University of Miami. For certain that I was going to be in the cannabis industry. I did every project that I could in class over weed. So if we had to do an entrepreneurship presentation, it was about weed. If I had to do some kind of finance, real estate explanation, it is cannabis real estate. So that I knew for certain. I just wasn't sure. So for me, the first thing that I felt that I needed to do was educate myself on the industry, on the plant itself. So when I learned about the plant itself, it was just like one of those, what? There's receptors, there's locks and keys, and why don't we have this information? And it's like, oh, it's out there, but it's in the form of medical journals. It's in the form of science jargon, and the rest of the world, the layman, cannot decipher what that says. So I decided that I was going to start making car videos in my car. And
that's classic like stoner behavior though.
Yeah, so it's just videos in my car. It's like on the way to drop off, in between dropping off, you know, one kid at one school, one at the other. I am busting out a 1-minute video.
Because you're a super mom too, just by the way. She's a super mom.
I have 2 kids. So if you look back at my earlier videos, people are like, why are you always in the car? Because I'm doing pickups and drop-offs and errands, and this is the best light that I have. I didn't have a ring light yet.
You're doing what you can do with what you have.
Exactly. So all I had was information and a sunroof that brought in really good lighting, and that was all I needed to get started.
There you go.
And then, of course, part of my strategy was social media. I don't know social media well, so I went and got help.
Okay.
People assume that I'm doing
I'm
social
giving
by
you that
itself.
look because I'm like, you're really good at social media.
No. My strategy was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the right way. So I went and I asked for help. I asked my friend Haley, whose page was so amazing. She's like, oh no, girl, that's Kelly. Like, what? So Kelly, who is the owner of Make Waves Social, is a big part. We've been together since the beginning of like her company and my company. We both had our start, and such a good working relationship. And everybody that she's brought on to my account to help has been, it's like we all are thinking the same thing, which is exactly what you want to have. So that's the recipe for success that I have there. It was not doing it by myself, which whenever I do things by myself, I typically fail.
No.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to do so much that I can't get it done. So when I get help, I can get so much done because
you're delegating.
Yes, correct. Delegating.
I mean, that's the best. Look, when you have a vision, sometimes it's really hard to execute that vision.
Yeah.
Everyone has ideas.
Yeah.
It's the people who are able to act on those ideas that make change. And sometimes to do that, you have to admit and say, hey, I can't do everything.
Right.
And so the fact that you right out the gate were like, hey, I have something I know that I want to do. But I don't have a ring light. I don't have a studio, so I'm going to do it in my car.
Yeah.
I don't have, every single know-how or expertise. So I'm going to figure out what I can do, and then I'm going to go to the other people who do it better.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, that's
like
CEO. That's like, right. Those are CEO moves.
Right. But at the beginning, it was so uncomfortable. I was like, I feel like an imposter because I'm not doing it all. So that was a very early lesson that today here I stand, there's so much that I can't get done because, again, I'm trying to do it by myself. And it's back to that, how did I start off?
Right.
That's kind of what I have to keep in mind. So, yeah, it's not always the most easy or the most beautiful process, but as long as you're doing it, at some point, you'll kind of figure it out along the way. Yeah.
No, I'm like, where are we in this episode? Oh yeah, we just started. We have like so much on. Well, like we can just end that there. Like that was perfect. No, but I think that's amazing. That is like literally the definition of a CEO and someone who's moving in a way that is so expert, like absolutely incredible. And so it's easy to see why you're now where you are. I mean, you've worked with like really heavy hitters too. Yeah. You're so knowledgeable in this space. I mean, you've created a book club to bring people together and create that community.
Yeah.
She also has a book club if you'd like to join, and as well as a wealth of other ways to learn, because that's part of what you do, right? Yeah. It's so that you can all, not just be together and smoke together. It's so that you can learn together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, smoking is one thing that's going to bring people together always, but how can we be more intentional? And I think during the pandemic, we had so much time to just kind of sit around, and it's like, all right, how do we create a new habit and be intentional with this new habit? So it just turned out as a group of people coming together to read a book, but what it created was advocates across the country.
Yeah.
Going to speak to their local politicians about cannabis legislation, going to lead community meetings, helping patients at a hospital because they're a nurse.
Right.
Becoming an educator themselves. So it's been beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's like, yes, more of this, because even though we're so far in cannabis legalization, we are not anywhere near the end of the fight.
Oh my God. No way.
Nowhere near.
You go, so I'm from the East Coast originally, and when I go back home, I mean, there's tons of progress that's been made, even in the last 5-6 years, but the California market, the Colorado market, Washington's market, all of these more mature markets don't even have it yet. I mean, we're in the middle of like almost a collapse of the California market.
Yes.
And I mean, we're going to have to see some rebirth. So not to take it too far away from our purpose of being here, but it is really crazy. And so for you to be able to stimulate that kind of inspiration in others to go speak to their, not just like, because social media is so powerful, but like to do the work in cannabis, and I'm looking at the camera saying this because to do the work in cannabis, you have to get off your phone.
You have to.
You eventually have to. You have to go and speak to people. You have to show up at hearings. You have to show up and comment. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand how to do that. They don't even know where to begin.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that's why what you're doing is so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to believe that our politicians are not knowingly killing people.
That's very optimistic of you.
Yeah, it's very optimistic. I'm like, if you actually knew that there was an endocannabinoid system, and it is hard to believe if somebody doesn't have the information. It's like, how can this one blunt fix 30 different things? You guys are just saying whatever you need to say to get whatever you need to get done, and I understand that line of thinking, but I honestly believe that if you sit down and you actually educate them and you present them a PowerPoint that you give them,
visually,
and then
visuals are huge.
Yes, visuals, and then hit on it. Are they more conservative leaning? Let's talk about PTSD and how the endocannabinoid system affects PTSD and what cannabis can do. So there's just so many ways that you can take it, and I genuinely believe that if they had the information, they would not be acting the way that they're acting. They're truly just accepting the teaching that was given to them without questioning it, and they're like okay with it.
I think that's very big of you. I think I've lost a lot of faith, honestly. I mean, like, and it's tough. Like, a lot of people in cannabis have a hard time trusting, sometimes are higher
Correct.
authorities,
correct,
as we'll say,
yes.
and for pretty okay reasons,
logically,
reasonable
absolutely.
reasons.
You guys have criminalized people for plants.
Yeah, yes. and so it's sometimes it's hard, and so I think that you helping foster that trust too, to say, hey, like, maybe it's not all bad, and maybe we can use our voices, but in this way, because it, like, you're giving direction too,
right?
Which is where a lot of people get lost, and that's where they get frustrated, and then it's like, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
I'm mad, but I don't know what my steps forward are, so I'm just going to sit here and be mad about it.
Right.
But you give them that, like, next little, like, no, let's...
If you just could give people the tools that they needed.
The tools.
They could be so successful, but people don't know what those tools even look like. It's information. That's all it is. Yeah. It's information. If you are aware of a problem... and you know it needs to be fixed, but you don't know how to fix it, you have to go find that information. Yeah. For some people, that's a therapist. For some people, it's a book club. So that's all it is. I am just giving people the tools. Yeah. If the argument is, we don't like it because it's illegal, well, let's talk to them about why it's illegal. We're going to learn about history.
I love it.
If we want to talk about, the detriment that criminalizing a plant has done to its citizens, well, let's talk about mass incarceration in this book. So... it's giving people the tools so that they can be effective. Yeah. In whatever way that is.
Well, and speaking of tools, in our toolboxes.
Yes.
We have a few tools in front of us. I like to think of cannabis also as tools because you can use the wrong types of cannabis. Or not really the wrong types, but types that maybe aren't best for you. So that I'm gonna really smoothly segue us into our in my bag segment. Speaking of tools, and talk a little bit about, you were telling me before we started some of the tools in your bag, which I was fascinated by some of that information, and I like to think I know most things sometimes about but especially like what you were telling me with the originals, that comes, well, I'll let you speak to that, but
so the originals, they're in South Central LA. They're also in San Diego. They have a location, but what's interesting about them is they're predominantly minority owned and led, and when you walk into the dispensaries, mostly minority operated.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so
I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, so they don't do a whole lot of marketing. They're pretty successful in their own right. Now, when they start,
because the product's good.
The product is good.
There we go.
The product is amazing. So they don't have to be loud. They don't have to align with, big names just for the heck of it. It's strategic if they do it. Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I love the originals. I always have them with me.
Smells amazing.
It smells amazing. I always have Coffee and Kush. That's another line that I really love. But yeah, I kind of like the places that I see the culture. I can feel the culture because the plants can feel it too. Yeah. And there's certain rooms that you'll walk into in the facilities of the originals, and you just smile as soon as you walk in. That's the gelato room. Feeling. Oh my gosh, the gelato room. There is something about the energy in there, and as well as the effect when you consume it. And they're directly correlated. These are living things, just like I think about sad cows who like turn into like meat products. We're eating sad meat products. And then you think about like,
I don't want sad cannabis.
Yeah, exactly. No, so how they care for the plant at the facility is a big, a happy plant is probably going to be more desirable
like
cage-free
cannabis.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think they do use that in some of their marketing, especially for like some of the prison reform. Not them specifically, but cannabis companies in general.
Yeah, for sure. So I think how you treat the plant, how the plant feels, absolutely results in your end result. So.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, you can see, like, especially the Cure Company has been a favorite of mine for a minute. Yeah. And the quality that you get, the smell, the taste, but it's the feeling. Like, I don't want, when I smoke, like, my mission personally, it's not to be like so fucking high. Yeah. It's not to be like so gone that I'm getting anxious and stuff. Yeah. And I really, like, when I smoke, I want to be like giggly and like fun and creative and have like a very open mind. Yeah. And I really believe that products like that give you that feeling.
Yeah, the Cure,
the sad cow cannabis feeling.
Yeah. So the Cure and the originals, I do believe, are partners. So same sentiments. Their rooms definitely make me happy too.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think that's amazing. Is there anything else in your bag that you think other people should be smoking on, consuming?
Gosh.
Tools you love?
I always have, and these are from Hemper, I always have tips.
I know. I literally didn't even have. I didn't bring tips today. I'm gonna be fired from the cannabis industry.
No, I mean,
gonna be banned.
We can roll it naked, but like going in raw, like there's gonna be all kinds of things. It's just yikes. You need a filter.
You gotta have a filter.
Condom.
You gotta have a filter.
Yeah, you have to have a filter. No Scooby snacks. I always have hemp wraps. Always. I have asthma, and I've just noticed that tobacco products irritate my lungs so much. Not weed, tobacco. So I kind of just stay away from it. Hemp, I don't have any issues, and then I'm smoking 100% cannabis throughout the entire process.
Yeah, it's a fully whole cannabis experience.
Yes.
Yeah. I like blunts, and I'll definitely have one if rolled or passed to me. I'm never one to be like, I'll totally take a puff or two. Yeah. But the next day, I sound like 3 octaves lower.
Yeah, if I do like a tobacco product, I'm immediately wheezing. I'm like, oh no, can't do this. It just my lungs do not like it. So, yeah. And fun fact, actually, cannabis cigarettes used to be sold as an asthma medicine. So there is proof that it does work. It opens the lungs and the airways. So it's a bronchodilator. I don't even use asthma medication. Only when I'm pregnant because I'm not smoking.
I was about to ask, is it okay that we're in this room smoking?
No, yeah. It's there's studies that have been published by Dr. Andrew Hepler out of UCLA that you can look into.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what I guess would be for someone who has asthma or experiences symptoms of it, what is like the best thing for them to smoke? Gosh. Or best method maybe?
You're probably gonna want something with a lot of pinene, alpha pinene in it.
Okay.
But luckily that's also the most abundant terpene. So you have to figure out what that is for you. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
And then do you think it's like vaping, or is something like a bong okay? Or are you like, I don't know, it's kind of personal?
I think it's personal. Okay. Every body is different. So my body, when it comes to cartridges, vaporizers, and dabbing, I have to be sporadic. It can't be a daily thing because my lungs start to feel very heavy.
It's like just, a tightness like in your chest kind of.
And it may not be the asthma, but because I have asthma, I don't like feeling anything messing with my lungs. It's just not comfortable. So I kind of have started to shy away from the concentrates a bit more.
Okay.
And then bongs, same thing. Sporadically. That's just a lot of smoke coming in anyway. So I just have to be aware of I don't have regular lungs.
Okay. So, no, I think that's really fascinating. I've heard because a lot of people I'm friends with, they specifically won't smoke because they have asthma, right? But they've gotten really into edibles. Okay. And so my old roommate actually, he'd always be like, Elizabeth, may I remind you I have asthma? He's going to watch this and be like, I don't sound like that. And so he did get really into edibles. And so I think that anytime people are able to have a little bit of tips and tricks there, that's much needed. Yeah. I've been doing more dabs, but only because I've been using the Puffco recently. Okay. And that has been really pleasant.
It is very pleasant. If I had the new Puffco, would totally do it. My other one, I'd have to buy an atomizer, and I've spent so much money on atomizers that I'm like, I can't do another one.
I feel you. Anyone else who's watching this is like, oh yeah, I've probably spent at least like $300 or $400 on atomizers, if not more.
You just have to get 3 at a time.
Because you have to get a backup. Yeah. Because the amount of times I've gone to take a fucking dab, and
it's the worst feeling.
I don't even have to finish my sentence because no, it's the worst. Okay. Any other tips, tricks, fun products you want to mention or that you think should be in anyone's bag before we hop on out of this segment?
Okay, so I have a lot of hair. So as a girl, if you hotbox, sometimes your hair is gonna hold that scent. So I have this Orbe hair scent spray that I put in my hair, and it neutralizes it. So it is, I mean, that's you can change your outfit all you want. But this right here is going to let everyone know.
No, I feel that. I think I DM'd you when you posted that, because I have one that's it's from Dry Bar.
Okay.
And it's similar, but Oribe, the smell is crazy good.
Oh my
and
gosh.
they have travel sizes, right? Yeah.
Yes. I keep it in my bag. I have it now.
No, that's the best. That's such a great tip. Okay. That's amazing. All right. So now, with all these products that we have that are in our bags, with all of the background that you've built over the years, now it's just the level of censorship and what we can and can't post, what we can and can't talk about. You're an educator.
Yeah.
And so you want to show people the right products. You want to tell them how to use it, how, someone with asthma can properly smoke, or smoke most comfortably or consume most comfortably.
Yeah.
For all of what we just went over, imagine now we just, talked about all this stuff. Are going to go to post it to Instagram, to TikTok, to wherever, to share with others. Not even anything, like, this wasn't crazy.
No.
I would say it was very fun, but not insane.
Right.
We would be restricted from sharing a lot of this content, potentially.
Yes, absolutely.
Educational content about, how our body processes cannabis, about what kind would be best for people in certain experiences.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Excuse me.
There's also water next to you and coffee.
I feel very frustrated about that. I think it's, and maybe we're just at the mercy of AI and bot technology, but there is another side of this that deserves to be shared. But unfortunately, because of federal regulations, we can't. Exactly. And it's like these social media apps are kind of stuck in the middle of, we don't want to deal with that, so we're just gonna, here's our solution.
Yeah.
But things that I get taken down are so ridiculous.
Well, and your whole page has come down.
In 2021, I went down 3 times.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And so when you went to go get it back, what is that experience like? I mean, I've brought pages back haven't, so it's really...
Luckily for me, again, Kelly, who I mentioned, social media, she has Facebook chat support.
Okay, yeah, that is helpful.
Yeah, so when it went down at Hall of Flower, MJ BizCon.
It always happens during an event, right?
Yes.
Anytime your account goes down, it's before you go up to speak.
Yeah. It's
before you go to an event. It's before you are showing someone your page for a deal and it's not there anymore.
I gave a speech at Hall of Flowers, and when I checked my phone after, I had 2 posts taken down. It was the craziest thing. And then right at MJ BizCon, it was gone. So luckily Kelly got through to Facebook support. Was like, hey, she's at a trade show, like, we need it back ASAP.
Right.
And they were able to kind of, give a link so that it expedited it, and I did get it back the next day. But then on Christmas Eve, that was just kind of like, I hadn't had any posts taken down. It was just...
They were just like, nah.
I was asleep, and my sweetie was on the phone. He's like, whose page went down? He's like, uh-oh. And then I heard Tam. I was like, no.
No.
And then sure enough, I open my phone, it's the white screen, and I'm like, great.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's just frustrating because they take me down, they put me back quickly always, usually, which I'm thankful for, because if you look, you can see there's no violations.
Right.
But it's like, why do we have to go through this? Because it also affects your engagement.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
And those things so when we talk about things like engagement, pages going down, I know from the outside looking in, it's it's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
But these things are important because they affect your reach. They affect your brand deals. They affect your business.
Yes.
You have an entire empire that you're building, and you know, when a page goes down, you have other options, though. You do have ways that I know you've built out to be able to contact people, but that's not your whole audience.
Correct.
That is a huge chunk of what you've built.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of business these days, is having a social media page, is putting out content, is building trust in your relationship and a relationship with your audience. And to have something like that just be taken away is it's stressful.
Yeah.
It adds a level of uncertainty to your day you weren't anticipating, and a lot of time it's very arbitrary. You can follow the guidelines.
Yeah.
I'm putting, for all audio listeners, those are very big air quotations. Yeah. But, like you said, it can just come down.
Yeah, they're not clear on what the violation is. It's like, okay, my page goes down, it gets disabled, but I didn't have a single post deleted from the last time it being disabled.
And no sales or anything like that.
Nothing. It's just like, oh, you went down. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
It's like, but wait, you can't keep doing this to me.
Yeah.
Like you guys sent me a PR package. Can we talk about this?
Can we talk?
Why? This is toxic at this point. Like, you hurt my feelings. You give me a present. I forgive you.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, at some point, can there be a conversation, an actual conversation had about this? Because these are advocates, these are businesses, and then some people don't get their pages back.
No, they don't ever.
Yeah.
And it's really, people have built up. I mean, at this point, I've seen so many people come down, and it begs the question, where do cannabis influencers go? Because some of them don't come back.
Yeah.
Or they go somewhere else and do something else, and it's... And it's like, well, then what? Are they creating content still? Are they working, a desk job somewhere? Like, what happens next? Because a lot of people's literal livelihoods come down overnight.
Yeah.
And so you have to then make a decision. And so I'm wondering, how do you kind of keep pushing yourself to the next thing? Because a lot of people do. They're like, well, that's it. It's done. It's done. And we'll just... not try to build it back up, but you keep going.
At my core, I know what my mission is. Before I started this all, I was clear on what that was. So, Instagram or no Instagram, the mission continues.
Right.
The mission is to help free the plant, to teach the people the information to help better their lives. That is what I am doing. So Instagram is not the only avenue in which I can do that. It's a tool, for sure. It's a powerful tool. And they do have a lot of control.
Yeah.
And it's beyond my control. So when it goes down, it's beyond my control. It's not going to ruin my day. I am going to pout for about 30 to 45 minutes and maybe a couple more minutes throughout the day.
Some pouting is
necessary,
going to be pouting. I think, yeah.
But the mission continues, and that's what's important. So I'll always find a way. I will always find a way.
Yeah.
And luckily, I do have other big projects that are coming. So,
anything you can tell us about yet?
Yeah.
We can keep an eye on.
Definitely working with Snoop on some cannabis education stuff.
Oh, that's really exciting. I saw you got some crazy... I'm not, what was that? It was some crazy necklace. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a Def Jam.
That's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So working with him on that, and then also a podcast.
Oh, that.
Yeah. 10-episode
that's going to be so cool.
But that's going to be a bit different. So as much as I am cannabis, a big part of who I am is sports.
Yes, you were mentioning that.
A big part of who I am is sports. So I played sports my whole life. I come from a family with a lot of brothers. I'm the only girl. I was always a tomboy.
I'm an only girl as well.
Yeah. Always a tomboy. I majored in sports in college.
Okay.
I worked for Oklahoma State Athletics. I worked for the Oklahoma City Thunder, an amazing game operations internship for the NBA. And then I was married to a professional athlete. A lot of my business partners are professional athletes. A lot of my friends, of course, are wives of athletes.
Right.
So it is something that has been ingrained into my life.
Yeah.
And it still is. I'm still an athlete. I still play sports, not recently because of COVID, but I play tennis and squash.
Yeah.
My kids are very athletic, so it's just in my blood. It's who I am. It's part of my identity. My twin brother is a coach, a high school coach. So it is who we are. So that's just kind of now time for me to showcase that. And then also talk about, you know, the parallels and how cannabis is a big compliment, a really good compliment to sports as well. Yeah.
I've loved seeing the amount of people coming out, like, you know, professional athletes, huge ones.
Yeah.
That are proponents of, you know, CBD, THC, especially, you know, but different alternatives of it, like, you know, using it for a pre-workout basically, or like
post.
Or post, or like, you know, all the different lotions and creams and like bath salts and, you know, anything for recovery purposes is so cool. And I follow a lot of that because from like what I deal with, a lot of those stretches and all of the recovery stuff that athletes do, I do because it really helps with like all the endo pain that I would experience.
Powerful anti-inflammatory.
Oh my God, like insane. My body feels like a different person.
Correct. Yeah. Powerful anti-inflammatory, and athletes have inflammation. It's just, you know, part of it, especially professional athletes, you know, they have all kinds of injuries. So those creams, the lotions, the bath salts, the flour.
Yeah.
It all helps.
No, and especially having people talk about it because, you know, a lot of professional athletes' pages are verified.
Correct.
And so that's a double-edged sword. A lot of, you know, there's pros and cons to that. Whereas some people can talk about cannabis, but others are a bit more restricted. I do still think that there is huge benefits to anyone being able to talk about cannabis.
Yes.
And so when a professional athlete comes out and has, you know, works with viola.
Yeah.
I mean, those are huge, huge things.
Yeah.
And having, you know, it just becomes something that's a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more attainable, and something that people can talk about in a way that's a totally different audience. People who would honestly be like the most sometimes against something like cannabis, they have a way to be able to consume it where it's not, you know, smoke or dabs or whatever, or papers. It's something they can drink.
Yeah.
It's something they can rub on. And it's something that they can post on Instagram and say, hey, like, you can also use THC. You can also use CBD. And I've seen so many athletes, too, actually educate as well. And not just, you know, push stuff. They're, like, actually educating their audience on this. And it's, you know, millions of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's powerful.
It's so powerful. And I think we get annoyed when we see yet another celebrity or athlete entering the cannabis space. But what we have to understand is they have access to millions of people.
Yeah.
And they have the power to create that
They can
shift.
change minds.
Yeah.
They can push culture forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And to really open them up to understanding, because they've already got the connection with this person. So we cannot underestimate that. We have to be grateful that Justin Bieber can create a flower line that might open up millions of adults who, you know, otherwise would have still thought it was, you know, the devil's lettuce. So that's all that's what I think. I think that, you know, as long as they're using their platforms properly, we should applaud it and be happy that they're bringing yet more awareness to this plant and to this injustice.
Yeah. And, it's just another opportunity for companies, too. Like, the thing is with social media, if you can't yourself talk about it, guess what the most powerful form of marketing is? It's word of mouth. Yeah. It's having someone sit down with you and say, hey, smell this weed. Yes. It's really good. Or like, look at this weed. It's really, or whatever you want to talk about. And so having someone that people trust talking about their product on a page where they can, I mean, that moves mountains. Yeah. Like the fact that Justin Bieber can talk about Wonder Bread. Yeah. Like, that's huge. It's, it's a totally different world. And so I do think that it will open up opportunity down the road, and maybe sooner, who knows?
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, you're like, I would like that to be
Thank you, Justin Bieber.
ASAP.
Thank you. Yes. Get your homies to do it too.
Yeah. All of them. Give them
Everybody.
all cannabis lines. I mean, I think it'll be as common as them having alcohol lines.
Yeah.
I mean, Snoop has I think he has 2 alcohol lines at this point.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Reynolds, Aviation Gin.
Okay.
There's also George Clooney. I think he was involved in like tequila.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not
so
as
many
big in
celebrity
that realm, but
brands.
yeah, so many. And so like I think that cannabis will be the same thing.
For sure.
And you'll see so much of it on like, more social media, and TikTok can loosen up there.
Yeah, I think they are. I just heard that they're loosening it a bit for cannabis and testing it. People who are verified can kind of get away with smoking now, which is, if they're testing it and it's successful, that finally opens up a place for cannabis influencers to go. Like, the potential for growth on TikTok is so, the algorithms
it's
over
crazy.
there. Yeah, you don't have that on Instagram.
I'm so restricted on TikTok.
Yeah, me too.
I've gotten my whole notifications is just, this has been removed. This has been removed. You have gotten, you can't post for a week. It's crazy. How many strikes have you gotten there?
I've gotten 2. And
okay,
it's like,
that's not bad.
I've gotten 1 restored, but the other one was taken down within a minute. There was no smoking in. There was a leaf on the food. I went to an infused dinner. There was no smoking in the video. It was like, whoa.
And they were just like, nah.
It was gone immediately. I was just like, goodness. And I changed my name from the Cannabis Cutie to the Canna Cutie, and it was like, it didn't get any better. It got worse. Yeah, I was like, okay. This is just not my place.
You're gonna have to just totally change your name for TikTok.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't quite figured out the TikTok strategy. I'm just not the trendy video type of person. I'm like, I want to be an educator. Like, I want to be me, but you guys won't let me. So.
It is hard. Like what we were talking about earlier, it is tough because you see what performs.
Yeah.
And you see, what the algorithm is essentially feeding up.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, I don't always want to do that.
Yeah, it's not me. I think it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you don't need cable anymore. You need TikTok.
Yeah,
it's so entertaining.
Oh my God. I will watch it at dinner, like, now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I just watched TikTok at dinner. Like, what?
It's so good. There's so much good content on there. So I love it. I just kind of, how my style, maybe I have to evolve a bit and figure out what that looks like on TikTok. Currently, though, I feel like I'm under attack over there. Like,
oh my God.
You post, it goes right into review. It's like, wow. Like, what did I do to deserve this?
Right?
They have trust issues.
What would you say is your most trusted platform or like means of communication? It doesn't have to be your biggest reach. Just something is always your tried and true. Like, doesn't even have to be your biggest following. You just know it'll be there at the end of the day. If something else goes down, you're like, I can reach people by
newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably newsletter. Facebook, I am so shadow banned. Like, I don't even know how that works, but it's like, I don't exist on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, so many people are like, shadow bans aren't real. It's fucking real.
Yes.
You can't put my name I will not appear in the search bar until you type in my full name. Yeah. And I've seen it for you. Yeah. I've seen it for every name. Yeah. Like, every name that's in cannabis, basically, at this point, that has any type of following.
Gosh,
like,
there was a 2-week period where I got so many DMs from my followers telling me that I was shadow banned.
Yeah.
Like, if I felt it, and then people are saying, I don't see your content anymore. Usually it was the first thing I would see in the morning. I don't see it at all. I tried to find you. I thought you were deleted, but then I had to type in your whole name. People were sending me screenshots of it. It's just nuts. Like, wow.
It really is true. And so, like, you see those numbers decrease. It's like, I mean, the reach that even just my stories have had, I know you were mentioning, like, some of it's really an issue because, again, these are businesses. It's also not just like, hey, what's up? Which is however you want to use social media. That's what it's there for. But, like, these are businesses.
Yes.
It's nuts. And so I think to round this all out, what's needed is some level of a federal nod, because I just don't think that companies are going to explicitly come out and say, hey, we're okay with cannabis content. Here's the guidelines. I don't think we're going to see that for a long time.
Right.
And so learning to operate outside of social media as well, like having a newsletter is huge. Yeah. Being able to know that these social media platforms, like as much as they take over our lives, they're tools. Yeah. There's other ways to get your message out there. And, you know, as long as you have passion for your message, you can take that with you. Correct. Any place. There's always going to be somewhere that people are going to buy into that. And so, you know, use these as tools and know that they are such. Like, don't. Yeah. It's not your website. Oh my God, the amount of fucking Facebook paid businesses I've seen linked to your website. Stop. Doing that, please. Yeah. It's not for me, it's for you. Get a website.
Get a website. Understand your mission. If your mission is to be an Instagram influencer and then they take your Instagram, well,
know then
it's a done mission. Yeah. But if your mission is to normalize the plant in whatever way that is, be clear on that and then just kind of move with that intention.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. When I really believe that when you have an intention and belief in it and you believe in yourself, others will believe in you too. And I know that sounds so cool.
No, that's it. But that's literally it. That's it. You believe in yourself more than anybody. I looked crazy. I've been a cannabis educator since I was 18. Or 19. And people thought I was absolutely nuts. But I was also in the South. I was in Oklahoma. This is like crack to us.
Yeah. So I bet.
What the hell is she talking about? She's a drug addict. And that's the perception that people had of me 10 years later, 14 years, however long it was. Now they understand it. Yeah. The people that, you know, crucified me and judged me are now asking me, you know, sativa or indica.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
Isn't that so nuts?
Full circle. It's like I knew that I was going to have this moment.
I got my grandma CBD for Christmas and she loves it. She was like, I feel so much better. Yeah. My pain is so much better. I was like, what is happening? Like, my grandma worked for the DARE program. Oh, my uncle told me that he watches my videos. And he was like, I want to learn more about cannabis. Like, are there any other videos I can watch? And I sent him yours. Yeah. I sent him a few others. And I was just like, this is so surreal. And so people are also open to this conversation, and I think that, you know, no matter where you can have it, just having that conviction and that passion for it is really the thing that you need. And I know that so takes away from like, oh well, like what do we do with social media? And it's like, well, we have to ask a different question. Yeah, that's not the question. Yeah, surprise.
Exactly.
And so I think that's, you know, the biggest takeaway here is like, what is your mission, you know, and what tools are you using to pursue it? And, you know, social media can be a part of it, but just know it's not your end all be all. There's always going to be new platforms, and there are ones that are more cannabis friendly. Like Twitter has been pretty cannabis friendly. Twitch. Having, you know, outside like a newsletter. There's all sorts of different ways. So if this is something that you've been exploring or, you know, trying to work around there, get creative. You know, people have been doing this for this long. Yeah, you've got to figure it out. There's going to be bumps in the road. Instagram going down, it's bumps in the road. But if you, again, believe in yourself and put that passion into it, that's kind of like when the universe starts to work with you, because it feels you and it's going to feed into that, you know, as long as you feel it. If you don't feel it, maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Find it. You gotta you gotta go deep with this.
Yes.
It's like, it's not spiritual. Just like,
right. Entrepreneurship is spiritual.
Yeah. No, it really is. This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing your story. I'm so excited for all the different things that are upcoming for you.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to hear this new podcast. Yeah. So many,
so much.
I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. But yeah, so you have like a ton of different things. I don't even know where to start. I'm gonna say, first off, find her on Instagram, but also sign up for her newsletter.
Yes.
Make sure you check out the book club. You have guides. You have tons of stuff on your website that are just incredible resources in cannabis. So if you have any questions at all, want to learn more, Tammy is the person to do it with.
Thank you. Yeah, the Cannabis Cutie on Instagram. The word the. You might have to type it all the way out.
You might have to type THE.
Or it'll lead you to my backup, and then it'll direct you to my Instagram. So that's one option as well. But yeah, and then thecannabiscutie.com, you can sign up for my newsletter, courses, book club, my ebook, which came out. And then, lots of old archived content that's still relevant today on my blog. So yeah, check me out, hit me up. In the DMs, there's a lot. So if I don't get back to you, God bless it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Send Us Flowers. I will see you next time.